Admiral Naira Valtos stood at the observation deck of the Stellar Vanguard, her violet eyes fixed on the blue planet rotating slowly against the backdrop of endless stars. Her silver-streaked hair, pulled back in a tight military braid, caught the light from nearby holographic displays, creating an almost ethereal effect. After 3 centuries of service to the Centauri Coalition, she had overseen first contact with 17 emerging civilizations. None had made her scales tingle with unease quite like this one. "Report," she commanded, her melodic voice carrying the weight of authority earned through countless successful missions. Lieutenant Drax Thorne, her sensor specialist, manipulated the crystalline control interface with practiced ease. Third planet of a standard G-type star, designated Sol 3 by our archives. Preliminary scans show a civilization barely reaching beyond their atmosphere. Primitive chemical propulsion, no quantum communications, limited orbital presence. Naira's facial scales shifted slightly, a sign of doubt that only her closest officers would recognize. "Show me their development timeline." The holographic display expanded, showing a century of observational data. Something wasn't right. The acceleration of human technological development defied all known models of civilizational progress. Most species took centuries to progress from basic flight to space exploration. These humans had done it in decades. "Lieutenant Thorne, focus our quantum scanners on their largest population centers," she ordered, her intuition screaming that they were missing something crucial. "Admiral," First Officer Kelvin Reed interrupted, his cybernetically enhanced eyes glowing faintly as he processed incoming data, "the Council expects our standard first contact protocols to begin within the next solar rotation. They're particularly interested in adding Earth to the Coalition's sphere of influence." Naira's scales rippled with irritation. The Council, in their distant wisdom, saw only what they wanted to see, another primitive world ready for guidance. But 20 years of classified reports sat in her secure database, each documenting unexplainable anomalies in Earth's development. "Deploy the Sentinel probes," she commanded, ignoring the surprised looks from her bridge crew. Sentinel probes were typically reserved for potentially hostile civilizations, not presumed primitives. 12 sleek, obsidian probes detached from the Stellar Vanguard's hull, their advanced stealth systems making them invisible to what the Coalition believed was Earth's maximum scanning capability. They descended through the atmosphere, spreading out to cover key strategic locations. The first probe disappeared over what humans called North America. Not destroyed, simply ceased to exist. The second vanished over Asia. The third over Europe. Each dissolution was precise, clean, and completely impossible for a civilization at Earth's apparent technological level. "Admiral." Lieutenant Thorne's voice carried an edge of panic. "I'm detecting quantum field fluctuations throughout their atmosphere. The pattern suggests, but that's impossible." "Nothing is impossible, Lieutenant," Naira replied calmly, though her scales had darkened to a deep purple of concern. "They've been watching us watching them. The question is, for how long?" As if in answer, every display on the bridge suddenly activated, showing the same message in perfect Coalition standard: "Your probes have been collected for analysis. Thank you for the technological samples. Shall we speak openly now?" A cold shiver ran through Naira's scales. The humans hadn't just destroyed the probes, they had captured and dissected them, all without revealing their true capabilities. The message was clear: we are not what we appear to be. "Order the fleet to maintain position," she commanded, her mind racing through implications. "No aggressive moves. Lieutenant Thorne, prepare a secure quantum channel on their demonstrated frequency." "Admiral," First Officer Reed protested, "Coalition protocol for technological deception does not apply here," Naira cut him off. "We're not dealing with deception, Kelvin. We're dealing with protection. They've hidden their true capabilities not out of malice, but from wisdom." Her scales shifted to a pattern that, in her species, indicated deep respect. "Think about it. Every primitive civilization we've encountered that displayed their full technological capability too early ended up dominated by one galactic power or another. These humans chose a different path. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth hadn't just hidden its capabilities, it had orchestrated a planetary-scale masquerade, presenting exactly the image expected of a young civilization while developing technologies that could neutralize coalition assets without detection. "Channel ready, Admiral," Lieutenant Thorne reported. Naira straightened her uniform, a gesture marking significant moments that she'd picked up from studying human culture. "Put me through." The holographic display shimmered, and she found herself facing a human male with graying hair and eyes that carried the weight of secrets finally ready to be revealed. "I am Admiral Naira Valtos of the Centauri Coalition," she announced formally. The human smiled, a gesture Naira had learned could mean many things. In this case, it spoke of relief mixed with triumph. "Director Julian Blake, Earth Defense Initiative. We've been hoping to have this conversation for a very long time, Admiral. Perhaps we should discuss why your people's long-range sensors have been probing our world for the past 50 years? Naira's scales rippled with appreciation for the subtle reminder of human awareness. This was going to be a very interesting first contact indeed. Director Julian Blake stood in the heart of the Earth Defense Initiative's command center, buried 2 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains. The vast chamber hummed with quantum processors and holographic displays, technology that would shock the coalition if they knew of its existence. He watched the real-time feed of Admiral Valtos's fleet, their positions marked by ghostly blue indicators in the facility's master display. "They're deploying additional sensor arrays," reported Dr. Ramesh Patel, the initiative's head of quantum research. His fingers danced over the crystalline interface, manipulating the stream of data. "More sophisticated than the previous probes. They're learning." Julian nodded, a slight smile playing at his corners of his mouth. "Good. Let them see exactly what we want them to see." He turned to Colonel Diana Frost, his military advisor, her cybernetic eye glowing softly as she processed tactical data. "Status of Operation Mirror Lake?" "The quantum camouflage grid is functioning perfectly," Diana replied, her augmented voice carrying undertones of satisfaction. "Their new sensors are detecting exactly what the old ones did, a struggling level 2 civilization barely reaching for the stars." The truth was far different. For 50 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. When the first coalition long-range probes were detected, Earth's leaders had made a crucial decision. Instead of announcing their presence to the galaxy, they would watch, learn, and advance in secret. "Director," called out Lieutenant Thomas Rivera from his monitoring station, "we're detecting quantum fluctuations in the coalition fleet's formation. They're preparing for something big." Julian crossed to Rivera's station, studying the data streams. The coalition ships had shifted into a pattern he recognized from years of studying their tactical manuals, documents Earth had quantum-hacked from their secure databases decades ago. "They're about to launch a deep scan," he announced. "Full-spectrum analysis of our atmosphere, orbital patterns, and electromagnetic emissions." He opened a secure channel to the global defense grid. "All stations, initiate Protocol Omega. Show them what they expect to see, nothing more." Around the planet, hidden quantum arrays hummed to life. These weren't just defensive systems, they were the most sophisticated illusion generators ever created. Each was capable of manipulating reality at the quantum level, presenting false data so perfect it was indistinguishable from truth. Dr. Patel's eyes widened as he monitored the incoming scan. "Director, this is incredible. The resolution of their scanning technology exceeds our projections by at least 30%. Can our countermeasures handle it?" "Yes, but..." Ramesh hesitated. "We might want to let them detect something. Something small, but significant enough to pique their interest without revealing our true capabilities." Julian considered this. The game they were playing was delicate: hide too much, and the coalition might become suspicious. Show too little, and they might dismiss Earth as unworthy of real diplomatic engagement. What do you have in mind? Dr. Patel manipulated his console, bringing up a detailed simulation. We could let them detect traces of our quantum communication network. Not enough to reveal its true scope, but enough to suggest we're on the verge of a technological breakthrough. Colonel Frost's cybernetic eye pulsed with concern. Risky. If they realize we're capable of quantum communications, they might escalate their surveillance. That's exactly what we want, Julian countered. Let them think they're discovering our secrets on their own. It's more convincing than anything we could tell them directly. He authorized the adjustment, watching as their quantum camouflage grid shifted subtly, allowing tiny glimpses of advanced technology to leak through. Like a master magician, they were directing the coalition's attention exactly where they wanted it. On his private display, Julian reviewed the classified files that only a handful of humans knew existed. The true history of Earth's technological advancement was far different from the carefully constructed narrative presented to the galaxy. The quantum leap hadn't come from gradual development, it had come from necessity. 30 years ago, they had detected something far more concerning than coalition probe ships. Something that made this elaborate deception necessary. But that was a secret even the coalition wasn't ready to learn. Director, Lieutenant Rivera called out, his voice tight with excitement, Admiral Valtos is requesting a direct communication channel. Not through standard protocols, she's offering to use their secure quantum network. Julian allowed himself a small smile. The bait had been taken. Accept the transmission, but route it through our quantum interceptors. Let's see what the good Admiral has to say. The holographic display shimmered, and Admiral Valtos's image appeared, her scales showing patterns that Earth's xenologists had learned to recognize as intense curiosity mixed with cautious respect. Director Blake, she began, her translator perfectly rendering her words into English, our latest scans have revealed some interesting anomalies in your planet's quantum field structure. Have they? Julian replied innocently. How fascinating. Perhaps you'd care to discuss your findings in person? We have a facility in orbit that might interest you, one we've kept off your sensor readings until now. He watched Valtos's scales shift through patterns of surprise and realization. The game was evolving. Every move, every revelation, had been planned years in advance. But even the best plans couldn't account for everything, and Julian knew the next few hours would determine whether humanity's great deception would lead to peaceful contact or interstellar conflict. What the coalition couldn't know, was that humanity wasn't just ready for either outcome. They were counting on them. The orbital facility that materialized before the coalition fleet was a masterpiece of deception. To Admiral Valtos's sensors, it had simply appeared, emerging from what seemed to be a localized quantum field disruption. The station's design was deliberately provocative, advanced enough to raise questions, but not so advanced as to trigger immediate alarm. Fascinating, Lieutenant Thorne murmured, his scales shifting through shades of professional appreciation. The quantum signatures suggest they only recently achieved this level of technology, yet the execution is. He paused, searching for the right word, elegant. Admiral Valtos studied the station through narrowed eyes. After 3 centuries in space, she had learned to trust her instincts. Too elegant, she replied softly. Commander Reed, tactical analysis. Her first officer's cybernetic implants pulsed as he processed the data. The visible defense systems are consistent with a Level 3 civilization, marginally more advanced than their planetary technology suggested, but nothing that poses a serious threat to coalition vessels. He paused, frowning. However, there are power signatures I can't quite explain. Inside the station, Director Blake and his team had prepared for this moment with meticulous care. The facility was real enough, a fully functional diplomatic station. But like everything else humanity had revealed, it was just one layer of a much deeper truth. "They're scanning us thoroughly," reported Dr. Olivia Santos, the station's chief technical officer. Her dark eyes reflected the glow of quantum displays as she monitored the Coalition's probing attempts. "Particularly interested in our power core." "Let them look," Blake replied, standing at the station's observation dome. "Dr. Patel, are the quantum echoes in place?" From his position at the primary control interface, Ramesh nodded. "Every scan they run will show slightly different results. Nothing dramatic, just enough inconsistencies to make them question their own assumptions." The diplomatic dance that followed was unlike anything in Coalition records. Admiral Valtos led a small delegation aboard the station, each step carefully measured, each word precisely chosen. The humans matched their caution with practiced ease, revealing technological capabilities that should have been just beyond their reach, never quite enough to trigger the Coalition security protocols. "Your advancement in quantum mechanics is remarkable," Valtos observed during the third hour of discussions. Her scales had settled into a pattern that suggested deep thought. "Particularly given your apparent isolation from galactic society." Blake smiled diplomatically. "Necessity breeds innovation, Admiral. When you can't rely on established paths of development, you're forced to find your own way forward." The hidden meaning in his words wasn't lost on Valtos. Every civilization in Coalition records had followed predictable patterns of technological development. Earth's divergence from these patterns wasn't just unusual, it was unprecedented. In the station's secure command center, Colonel Frost monitored the diplomatic exchange while coordinating with Earth's hidden defense grid. "The Coalition fleet is maintaining standard formation," she reported through her quantum link to Blake. "But they've positioned their heavy cruisers to cover their withdrawal vectors. They were expecting trouble." "Good. A species didn't survive long enough to build an interstellar civilization without developing healthy paranoia." "Director Blake," Valtos said, her translator perfectly conveying the careful neutrality in her tone, "my superiors are concerned about the discrepancies between our initial observations of Earth and what we've discovered. In the interest of transparency, perhaps you could explain these apparent technological leaps?" It was the question they'd been waiting for. Blake's response would determine the next phase of humanity's carefully orchestrated revelation. "Admiral," he began, his voice carrying just the right note of earnest concern, "we've been asking ourselves the same question about the Coalition." He gestured, and a holographic display materialized between them, showing detailed scans of the Coalition fleet. Scans that should have been impossible with Earth's presumed level of technology. Valtos's scales rippled with surprise. "These readings are far more detailed than we should be capable of producing?" Blake finished. "Yes. Just as your quantum scanning technology is far more advanced than you've officially revealed to other emerging civilizations." He let that sink in. "It seems both our peoples have learned the value of keeping certain capabilities private." The atmosphere in the room shifted perceptibly. This wasn't just an admission of Earth's deception, it was an accusation and an invitation wrapped in one diplomatic package. In orbit, the Coalition fleet's formation subtly tightened. Defensive systems powered up, not enough to be threatening, but enough to be noticed. Humanity's hidden quantum arrays noted every adjustment, every power spike, feeding data to AIs that had spent decades learning to predict Coalition tactical responses. "Perhaps," Valtos said finally, her scales settling into a pattern that Earth's xenologists hadn't seen before, "it's time for both our peoples to be more honest with each other." Blake's smile widened slightly. "That would be refreshing, Admiral. Though I suspect neither of us is ready to reveal all our secrets just yet." "No," she agreed, and there was something like appreciation in her voice. "But it's a start." What neither side admitted was that this exchange had set larger events in motion. The Coalition would report Earth's unexpected advancement to the Council. Humanity would continue its careful game of measured revelation. And beneath it all, the real reason for Earth's accelerated development remained hidden, waiting for the moment when the truth could no longer be contained. The crisis arrived without warning. Deep space sensors detected it first, a massive quantum disturbance tearing through subspace, heading directly for the Sol system. Within minutes, both Earth's hidden defense grid and the Coalition fleet's advanced detection systems were screaming alerts. Unknown contact. Lieutenant Rivera's voice cut through the tense atmosphere of Earth's command center. Quantum signature doesn't match any known configuration. Size estimate, it's bigger than anything we've ever encountered. Director Blake exchanged glances with Colonel Frost. This wasn't part of the plan. The carefully orchestrated dance of revelation and concealment they'd been maintaining with the Coalition was about to be severely tested. On the stellar vanguard, Admiral Valtos faced a similar dilemma. Analysis, she demanded, watching the anomaly grow on her tactical display. Lieutenant Thorne's scales had paled to an alarming shade. It's impossible. The energy readings suggest it's some sort of quantum rupture, but the pattern is artificial. Someone or something is deliberately tearing a hole in spacetime. The quantum rupture expanded, its edges crackling with impossible energies. Both human and Coalition sensors registered the same terrifying fact: if it continued to grow at its current rate, it would engulf the entire solar system within hours. Director Blake, Valtos's voice came through on their quantum channel, all pretense of diplomatic maneuvering gone. Are you seeing this? We are, Blake responded, his mind racing through options. Admiral, I think it's time we put our cards on the table. This situation requires capabilities that neither of us has officially admitted to possessing. There was a moment of silence from the Coalition commander. When she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of a decision that could change everything. Agreed. My fleet carries prototype quantum stabilizers. They might be able to contain the rupture, but we'd need unprecedented power levels to activate them at this scale. Blake nodded to Dr. Patel, who began entering commands into his console. Around Earth, massive structures began emerging from their quantum camouflage, power stations that made the Coalition's most advanced technology look primitive by comparison. We can provide the power, Blake said. But there's something else you need to know. We've seen this type of quantum rupture before. It's why we developed our technology in secret. In orbit, the Coalition fleet's formation shifted, their ships moving into a precise geometric pattern around the growing anomaly. On Earth, hidden quantum arrays realigned, preparing to channel enough energy to power a small star. Director, Dr. Santos called out, her voice tight with concern, we're detecting something inside the rupture. Multiple signatures, they're coming through. The quantum tier burst open, and through it came something that haunted humanity's darkest nightmares. Massive ships, their hulls composed of what appeared to be living metal, emerged from the wound in spacetime. Their designs were organic, twisted, wrong in ways that defied conventional physics. The Vorkan, Blake said grimly. We discovered evidence of their existence in deep space 30 years ago. They don't invade worlds, Admiral. They consume them, breaking down all matter and energy to fuel their expansion across the universe. Valtos's scales shifted to a deep crimson, a color of battle readiness. You knew they were coming. We suspected. It's why we hid our true capabilities. The Vorkan are drawn to advanced civilizations. We needed to appear primitive while preparing our defenses. The Vorkan ships moved with impossible grace, their living metal hulls rippling as they approached. Both Earth and Coalition sensors registered weapons powering up, weapons that could tear apart the fabric of reality itself. We have 2 minutes before they're in firing range, Colonel Frost reported. Our quantum shields are ready, but we've never tested them against something like this. Blake opened a general channel to all Earth and Coalition forces. Admiral Valtos, I'm transmitting complete specifications of our defensive capabilities. No more hiding, no more games. If we're going to survive this, we need to work together. Agreed, Valtos replied, her own tactical officers already integrating the new data. Though if we survive, the Coalition Council will have many questions about how humans achieved this level of technology so quickly. If we survive, Blake said with a grim smile, we'll be happy to explain everything. Including why we believe the Vorken aren't just a natural threat, they're someone's weapons. The first Vorken ship fired, its quantum beam cutting through space like a scalpel through reality itself. Earth's hidden defenses sprang to life, quantum shields interweaving with Coalition energy barriers in ways their designers had never imagined possible. The battle that followed would change the galaxy forever, but its outcome would depend on whether two civilizations that had spent years deceiving each other could learn to trust when everything was at stake. The battle for Earth's solar system unfolded across multiple dimensions of spacetime. Coalition ships moved in perfect synchronization with Earth's defense platforms, their combined firepower guided by quantum computers that processed combat data faster than thought. The Vorken ships responded with weapons that seemed to defy the laws of physics, each blast threatening to unravel the fabric of reality. Quantum shield grid holding at 60%. Dr. Santos reported, her hands flying over multiple control interfaces. The Coalition stabilizers are successfully containing the worst of the temporal distortions. Director Blake watched the tactical display, where the twisted forms of Vorken ships clashed with the combined Earth Coalition fleet. Their hastily assembled defense was working better than anyone had dared hope, but the enemy was adapting with terrifying speed. They're learning, Admiral Valtos observed through their now shared command channel. Her flagship, the Stellar Vanguard, had taken position at the heart of the defense grid, coordinating the Coalition's advanced weapons with Earth's quantum technologies. Each attack pattern is more sophisticated than the last. That's what we've always feared, Blake responded, nodding to Dr. Patel. Ramesh, show her what we found. The quantum displays shifted, revealing deep space sensor data that humanity had kept hidden for decades. These are temporal echoes we detected 30 years ago, Dr. Patel explained. The Vorken don't just consume worlds, they learn from them. Each civilization they destroy makes them stronger, more adaptable. A Vorken beam lanced through the defense grid, nearly catching a Coalition cruiser. The ship's quantum-enhanced shields, boosted by Earth's power grid, barely held. Director. Lieutenant Rivera called out. We're detecting quantum fluctuations in their hull structure. It's similar to, sir, it matches technologies from civilizations that vanished from Coalition records centuries ago. Valtos's scales shifted to a pattern of deep concern. Impossible. Those civilizations were thought to have destroyed themselves. No, Blake said grimly. They were harvested. Their knowledge, their technology, absorbed and weaponized. The Vorken aren't just destroyers, they're a library of stolen innovations, twisted and turned against the galaxy. Understanding dawned in Valtos's compound eyes. This is why you hid your true capabilities. You weren't just afraid of Coalition interference. We were afraid of being noticed, Blake confirmed. Every advancement we showed risked attracting their attention. But we couldn't stay hidden forever. We needed to be ready when they came. Another Vorken ship exploded, its death throes sending quantum shockwaves across the battlefield. But 3 more emerged from the rupture, their organic metal hulls already adapting to the combined Earth Coalition weapons. We need to end this now, Colonel Frost announced, her cybernetic eye pulsing with tactical calculations. Before they can adapt completely to our defense grid. Blake turned to Dr. Patel. The quantum inverter? Untested, Ramesh warned. If it works, it should collapse their quantum fields, but the power requirements would burn out most of our hidden infrastructure, Blake finished. Admiral Valtos, if we do this, we'll be revealing our last and greatest secret. There's no going back. Valtos was silent for a moment, her scales cycling through colors of deep thought. Director Blake, I think we're well past secrets now. Whatever you need, the Coalition fleet stands ready. Blake nodded to his team. Around Earth, massive structures began to shift, emerging from quantum camouflage that had hidden them for decades. They weren't power stations or weapons platforms, they were pieces of something much larger. By the eternal stars, Valtos breathed as her sensors registered what was happening. You built a quantum web around your entire planet. Not just around it, Blake corrected as the structures aligned themselves. Through it. Every city, every ocean, every piece of Earth's infrastructure was designed to channel quantum energy in ways we never revealed. Colonel Frost, begin the sequence. The quantum web activated, drawing power from Earth's very core. Coalition ships moved into precise positions, their own quantum systems synchronizing with the human technology in ways their designers had never imagined possible. The Vorkans seemed to sense the danger, their ships turning to unleash everything they had. But it was too late. The quantum inverter fired, its effect rippling across spacetime itself. The organic metal of the Vorkan ships began to twist, their stolen technologies turning against them as quantum fields collapsed. In the aftermath, as the last echoes of battle faded, Earth and Coalition forces found themselves facing a new reality. The careful dance of deception and revelation was over, replaced by something neither side had expected: genuine partnership. The Council will want explanations, Valtos said, her scales now showing patterns of both respect and curiosity. About everything. They'll get them, Blake assured her. But first, we need to prepare. The Vorkan weren't created by chance, someone or something engineered them. And now that we've revealed ourselves, others will come looking. Let them come, Valtos replied, and there was steel in her voice. They'll find Earth and the Coalition standing together. As cleanup operations began, Blake looked out at the stars. Humanity had survived its first real test, but he knew it wouldn't be the last. The galaxy was larger and more dangerous than either Earth or the Coalition had imagined. But perhaps that was why they had found each other, two civilizations that had learned the value of keeping secrets, now united by the need to uncover an even greater mystery. The dawn of a new age had arrived, and with it, the real work was just beginning.